The tennis world thought it understood how this night would unfold. A comfortable showcase, a smiling champion, another routine reminder of why Carlos Alcaraz stood at the top of the sport. The crowd arrived relaxed, phones ready for highlights, minds already settled on the outcome. This was supposed to be familiar, predictable, safe. But tennis has a habit of humbling certainty. Because on this night in Miami, a 19-year-old Brazilian did not arrive to admire greatness. He arrived to test it, quietly, patiently, without permission. What followed was not just an exhibition match. It became something far heavier, a slow-burning confrontation between reputation and fearlessness, between a champion carrying the present and a teenager representing a future that refused to wait its turn. This is the full story of the night Carlos Alcaraz was pushed further than expected, and the moment the tennis world felt the ground shift beneath its feet. Carlos Alcaraz arrived in Miami carrying more than a racket. He carried expectation layered on expectation. By this stage of his career, the tennis world had already crowned him. Grand Slam titles before most players peak, world #1 status achieved with apparent ease, a highlight reel that felt almost fictional. His forehand bent angles that didn't seem possible. His drop shots appeared like tricks pulled from thin air. His movement erased pressure before it could settle. Opponents didn't just face Alcaraz, they faced the idea of Alcaraz, the belief that no matter how close you came, no matter how loud the crowd grew, he would always escape. Crowds didn't attend his matches wondering if he would win. They came to witness how smoothly dominance could be delivered. Miami was supposed to be another stop, another appearance, another night where talent met expectation and fulfilled it effortlessly. Across the net stood someone most fans barely recognized, João Fonseca, 19 years old, Brazilian, a name spoken softly among scouts and coaches, but rarely heard by casual viewers. His resume did not command attention yet, his ranking did not demand respect, but his game carried something harder to ignore. Fonseca possessed power beyond his age, a backhand that didn't tremble under pace, footwork that suggested long hours and deep discipline, and most importantly, he carried refusal to shrink, refusal to admire, refusal to wait his turn. He did not walk onto the court like a fan stepping into a dream. There was no wide-eyed awe, no nervous energy, just calm steps and focused eyes. He moved as though he belonged there already. That alone unsettled people, because tennis history teaches us this lesson repeatedly. When young players stop asking for permission, history begins to bend. The match began exactly as expected. Alcaraz was sharp from the opening points, assertive, clean. Early breaks came quickly. Points ended efficiently. The scoreboard reflected the hierarchy everyone anticipated. Applause followed brilliance. Comfort settled into the stadium. This was familiar territory. This was how it was supposed to go. Fonseca absorbed it all. He did not panic. He did not rush. Every missed return looked less like failure and more like information. He studied the pace, the spin, the patterns. His eyes followed the ball not with frustration, but calculation. There is a moment in every underdog's match where a decision must be made, continue surviving or risk striking. Fonseca chose to strike. The rallies lengthened. The ball came back deeper. Alcaraz was suddenly asked to hit one more shot, then one more, then another. The rhythm shifted subtly, like a song changing key without warning. Something felt different. People leaned forward in their seats. Conversations quieted. This wasn't supposed to be close, and yet, slowly, undeniably, it was becoming exactly that. A teenager was standing toe-to-toe with the sport's golden standard, refusing to blink. The scoreboard hadn't dramatically changed yet, but the feeling had. And when the feeling changes, tennis listens. Fonka wasn't playing reckless tennis. He wasn't swinging wildly and hoping something landed. He was constructing points with intention, targeting corners, changing pace, forcing Alcaraz to think instead of react. That is dangerous. The first real jolt came in extended rallies, 5 shots, 6 shots, 7 shots deep, and Fonka was still accelerating, still stepping inside the baseline, still daring Alcaraz to respond. The crowd responded instead. Cheers grew louder, not out of disrespect to Alcaraz, but out of disbelief. People admire dominance, but they fall in love with disruption, and suddenly the match felt alive. Alcaraz adjusted, as champions do. He introduced variety, drop shots, net approaches, changes in tempo. He attempted to reassert control through creativity, but Fonka followed, not with hesitation, with conviction. That was the moment heads truly turned, because most players follow champions cautiously. Fonka followed with belief. After a particularly fierce rally, Alcaraz shook his head and smiled, not amusement, awareness, the smile of a player recognizing danger. Later, he would describe the match as harder than expected. Harder than expected. Those words carried weight. As the match progressed, the second set told a clearer truth. Fonka did not fade. He did not retreat. He took control. He dictated exchanges from the baseline. He forced errors Alcaraz rarely makes. He refused to give ground. The scoreboard finally caught up with the feeling, set level. Phones came out across the stadium. Social media ignited. What had begun as entertainment had transformed into a moment. This was no longer a fun exhibition. This felt important. Fonka had done something rare. He made the world #1 look human, and once that illusion cracks, it never fully repairs itself. Momentum in tennis is invisible but undeniable. In Miami, it had shifted. Fonka walked to the baseline with calm body language, but his shot selection spoke loudly. No safe balls, no waiting. He was taking the match to Alcaraz. The rallies became battles of nerve. Alcaraz answered with flashes of brilliance, a forehand winner that bent physics, a delicate drop shot that drew gasps. Each time the crowd roared, relieved that order might return. But Fonka refused to let the match settle. He matched power with power. He absorbed pace and redirected it. He earned his approaches instead of forcing them. He stayed present. Then came the tiebreak. This is where challengers usually fade, where experience tightens its grip, where youth hesitates. Except Fonka did not hesitate. Point after point, he surged ahead. 3-love, 4-love, 5-love. A hush fell over the stadium. Not disbelief, understanding. This was no longer hypothetical. Alcaraz stood at the baseline breathing deeply. He was not losing. He was being hunted, chased by someone with nothing to lose. Alcaraz fought back as champions do, 1 point, then another, a roar, a fist pump, a reminder of who he was. But even as the score tightened, the tension did not fade. Every point carried weight. Every rally felt like a statement. Fonka missed a shot, then another. Experience surfaced, margins narrowed, pressure returned. And when it ended, the score favored Alcaraz, but the story did not. Because a 19-year-old had stood across from the best player in the world and controlled him for long stretches. That matters. Fonka smiled afterward and said, "I almost got it, guys." Half joke, half truth. That sentence spread quickly because almost carries promise. The match ended, but the conversation exploded. Fans flooded comment sections, analysts rewound clips, players quietly took notes. The phrase "future rivalry" began to circulate. Fonka did not walk away defeated, he walked away elevated. Alcaraz praised the challenge. He admitted it was not easy. Champions do not give compliments lightly.
Fonka spoke with confidence, not arrogance. He said the match showed him he belonged. In tennis, belief is currency, and Fonka had just earned a fortune. Some dismissed it. Just an exhibition, they said. But exhibitions do not create fear. Performances do. And this performance planted a seed. The idea that Alcaraz was untouchable had been nudged, not shattered, cracked. Fonka became a symbol overnight, youth unafraid, a generation no longer waiting patiently, and Alcaraz left Miami reminded that greatness is always chased. This was not about rankings or trophies, it was about presence. Fonka showed presence, the kind that forces adjustment, the kind that starts conversations. From that moment forward, every time these two names appear in the same draw, people will remember Miami.